Hello. I had to bend in like this to press the record button. This is Dean from upstate New York. And today, this evening, it's 8 o'clock at night in upstate New York. I want to show you how to make Scottish oat cakes. And when you hear cakes, they really have nothing to do with cake. I know them from as a kid as triangles. My mom would get them mailed to her by her cousin in the Shetland Islands at Christmas time, and they would be around maybe about that big, wrapped in red cellophane. I don't remember the brand name. And they were, indented, perforated like toilet paper, that you could snap them apart. And you had that triangular shape with a round outer edge. That's how I knew them. But this is my mom's 1940s, 1950s biscuit cutter, and I'm going to make them with this. I've done it several times. They turn out great. When you buy them in the store, there's the Nairn's brand, for example, and they're in a box about maybe that high and have, 10 or 15 in the packet wrapped in cellophane, and they're just about that size. I would guess 3 US inches wide. It's a tip to halfway past first knuckle to second knuckle. And in my bowl, what I already have prepared is 300 grams of Bob's Red Mill oats. You'll find plenty of recipes to do with pin oats, they say in Scotland. You can also say steel cut in the States, and that's a really dense, hard kernel. You can put it in your food processor, it lightens it up. These are the normal rolled oats. They're not quick cooking, and I just put them in the food processor for a couple of spins and gave it a coarse meal consistency. So 300 grams, and tossed in also 100 grams of einkorn wheat flour. I've used whole wheat flour, I've used white flour. Tonight I'm using the einkorn just because I have it and it's organic and I want to see how it turns out. My experiment tonight is I've always gone with 150 grams of the oatmeal and only 50 grams of the flour. And I thought, well, for all this work and rolling it out and cutting it and baking it, I'm going to double it. So 300 grams of the oatmeal, and I mean not gloppy stuff in a bowl with cinnamon on top, but meal, coarsely ground, not a fine, dusty flour. And, the coarser you like it, make it that way. I've seen plenty from the Orkney Islands, from the Shetland Islands, where my grandparents and my mom's family came from, that were really quite coarse. You saw good pieces of that oat in it. So it's an experiment tonight, what happens when I double, to make more out of the effort of my work tonight. I want to share why is this so nostalgic to me is my grandparents came to Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, from the Shetland Islands. My grandfather was from Scalawa, and my grandmother was from Whiteness. That's kind of halfway between Lerwick, the capital, and Scalawa on the west coast. And it was just part of growing up. It was a snack after school. It was a snack in the evening. My mom always made them sweet. We would have orange marmalade or elderberry jam or a cream or butter. And it was just a couple of nibbles on something before bed, like you would have, Oreos dipped in milk. But we had Oaties with something sweet on top. You may be not accustomed to cooking, baking, either way with grams, and I want to share. It's so simple. A kitchen scale. I have 2 of them. That's my flat stainless steel one. And then I have this, which is glass. It also has milliliters for liquids, measurings for milk, which then are in deciliters for maybe making waffles or something where you need cups rather than just a few milliliters. And then the weight in grams, and of course you can also do pounds and ounces. But it's so simple that you put the bowl on, you set tare, you get it to 0 grams, and you just start adding in. And when it's up to 300 grams, you're done. So that said and done, for recipes you may find on the internet, you might want to say, the hell with Dean's. I want to do those other Oaties that I found on the internet. And if it's in the metric from somebody in Europe, go with it. Get yourself a scale off of Amazon. So to this, for doubling it, I'm adding 4 tablespoons of oil. And I mean, there are so many olive oils that are very light flavor. Grapeseed oil for high temperature is very light flavor. Avocado oil, I don't find it that strong. This is a light olive oil. I've used it other times. As I said, when I didn't double this, it was fine. You don't taste that oil taste in them. Doubling, it's 240 ml of water. And I've just got beakers. One is actually from a science classroom. I'm a retired teacher, and I don't know why that ever ended up in my house. So there goes 140 ml, and here comes 100 ml for my doubled batch. And then I start to mix. And you can read up the benefits of oatmeal. They are so great. The fiber, that rubbing, tearing, pulling the cholesterol out of your veins and out the body. Just fantastic. And you know, the fact that this recipe, that I like it because it doesn't have sugar added, butter added, lard added. It's just the water and the flours, the 2 flours, and then the added ingredient for doubled is just 1 scant teaspoon of salt. And I use a Himalayan pink salt. I've used sea salt. I just don't ever use table salt in baking because I find it can have a really bitter taste. So there I have my nice gloppy mix. I find it's a little too gloppy. It does need to be rolled out. So I'm going to add in just a peery bit more of my einkorn flour. Go Google peery, P-E-R-I-E. A wee bit, a peery bit. What a heritage I have to share with you. For several years now, I've been a dual citizen of Canada and the United States. I live in upstate New York, but I carry a U.S. and a Canadian passport. I've always been very proud of that. Canada is super, super, super dear to me. But I came to realize, oh my gosh, and a little bit more, if you bake and you have a feel, you know, if you have to roll this out, you know what stickiness is not okay. And I'm thinking that one would make me not be child listening to making these friendly over the internet. But recently I came to realize the UK had changed its rules, and anybody born in Canada at the time my mum was, because her brother and sister were born in Shetland. No, that's not true. They'd left Shetland. They were born in Edinburgh, Scotland, her older brother and sister, my aunt and uncle. But at the time that my mother and her closest older brother were born in the late 20s, if you were born in Canada, you were born a British citizen. Canada did not have its own citizenship. So, in 1949, January 1st, when Canada made its citizenship, that was well and good, but oh my, I was born the son of a British mother. So in learning that they had changed their rules, that the son of a British mother born in Canada was also British, because before it had only been of the father. So Dean, that's me, grabbed himself a barrister in London, England, and I had a caseworker who took care of guiding me through it. And boom, in February of this year, 2022, I had my confirmation letter that my British citizenship had been approved. And then came late July, when I finally, after lots of waiting, had my email from the Home Office in London, England, that I also had finally my date for my swearing-in ceremony. And there I was, on August 2nd, a month ago, I had my swearing-in as a British citizen. It, however, was over the internet because of COVID. Big old blob on the Korean counter. And gets rolled out to, I would say, about a centimeter. Quite thin, but you'll be amazed. Like when I make pizza and sometime I roll out my dough and I'm like, how the hell am I going to get this off the counter? But this stuff, it's really amazing. It rolls out really thin. It seems tacky. I go generous with the flour every now and then, a little more just in case. But I tell you, when you cut those circles out like a biscuit, no problem, easy peasy. Now the interesting thing, just last week I had a photo taken. It was digitally sent to Her Majesty's Passport Office, and I applied for my very first British passport. And the waiting times, they say not due to COVID, because of high demand in COVID times. Let's face it, it's COVID. I'm going to have some waiting to do. I think it's going to be a total about 12 weeks, maybe 10 weeks, until I get my British passport. But I'm so excited. And my next time having Oaties with orange marmalade will be over there, because I'm flying on January 9th, and I'm going to be landing at Heathrow on a British passport. Then I will be off to York, England, then on to Edinburgh. I've got flats set up in all these places that I can do my own cooking, have relatives or friends, acquaintances meet me, and then After Edinburgh, I'm flying to the Orkney Islands, to Kirkwall, have a flat set up there. Know nothing about it, got to plan that. And then another flight on Logan Air to Lerwick, well, Sunborough Head, the very southern end of the mainland of Shetland. And then I'm going to be at Up Helly Ah. Google that. Up, U-P, Helly, H-E-L-L-Y, which is the weekend in dialect. And then Ah, A-A, Up Helly Ah. All. Up all weekend, partying. And it's a fire festival. Here we go. My mother's biscuit cutter. God bless her. My mother was absolutely magnificent, fantastic. You can't, well, some of you that had those moms, you know, you get it. You hear me. But after almost 2.5 weeks on Shetland, then I'm going to be taking the ferry from Lerwick down to Aberdeen, a train over to Glasgow, and then I'll be riding out that time in Glasgow, checking it out. I've never been there. And then off to London. And the last time I was in London, I took my mum with me. And I'm staying in the exact same place that we stayed about 20 years ago. That's how long it has been since I walked London. So now I pull away all this scrap, and I didn't do as good a job as usual. I've got a lot of scrap to re-roll. And these wonderful Oaties. To get up onto my parchment paper covered stuff here. If you decide to try these, the other thing is what temp. I have them going in at 180 Celsius, which is about 350 in the Fahrenheit scale. So, and I guess after pulling away that extra stuff, I'll show you one. Just a nice little round on the spatula. Oh my God, I put some lighting out for you like Hollywood, so there we go. It's about 3 inches round, and off onto a parchment paper covered tray. I'd also like to talk about my family. You hear from YouTube, I have a little Scotland music going on in the background. But my mom's first cousin was, sorry, that was my cell phone, was Jim Halcrow. And you might want to Google the Jim Halcrow Band. That was my second cousin. I will be seeing his wife when I get to Shetland in January. But he and his son David were quite popular all across Scotland and in Norway even. Norway has some very similar music styles with the accordion, etc. Piano, and David and his dad, my second and third cousins, had the Jim Halcrow Band, Halcrow. So there was a lady who talked about Oaties on YouTube, and she said she likes them with cheese, and I thought, geez, cheese, why not? A nice chunk of cheddar or feta, any kind of cheese on top would really be kind of neat. So here we go, round 2. To just kind of scrunch it up Again, get it into a tight ball and then plunk. Get it rolled out. And you'll be amazed. It's a pretty forgiving dough. I was like, oh my God, how do I do this? I'll have potty mouth all over the internet. Get these rolled out and off my Korean counter. I'm like, no, holy cow, not at all. One time when I made it, I think it was air temperature and humidity in the house. They literally were stuck to the biscuit maker that all I had to do was go, and they were there on the baking tray. So, there we go. There is one full tray, and I've got more of the residual to take care of here, eh? That's going to be, might need a third tray. In deciding that, that's maybe an important point, is these do not spread out like if you were making chocolate chip cookies. They pretty much stick to where you put them. I think I got a plan. I might get 2 out of this one, but where to put them? I'm so Scottish thrifty, let me tell you. The piece of parchment that is on this baking tray, that is there from the last time I made them. I set it aside. I'm like, who can use this parchment again? What the heck? So, I think I'm getting 2 more out of that. Oh my thriftiness. I'm going for another. I am. Because it can be done. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to space those 3 together, and then this is going to be 1. And then I'll hold it up and show you what I've got before it goes into the oven. There. 1 final little one, but you know where that's going? Into the bowl with the other half, since I doubled. There. So we have, oh my gosh, 3, 7, 11, 15, 19 out of that half. And the fact, I was going to put them in, you know, all at once, 2 levels, and alternate them midway, but I've changed my plan. In they go. So as I said, they're in at 180°C. If you do it in the F, they go in at 350 for a half hour. So I think we can chat a bit. I'm going to roll out the others. This going in. Ooh, big time. Dean's breaking out for fresh parchment paper. There they go. Now, don't go telling tales I'm inebriated, but when I like to bake in my home and be comfy, I usually have a little swig of red wine. It's time for a sip. And here we go. A little bit more flour that they're not all stuck to my counter. Here comes that big old blob. And I'm going to give that just a little knead because I have that blob of the other one that had been remixed and remixed and remixed, and I want to be sure that it's I'm thinking they will come out, they'll just be, I think, crisper, but I didn't give, after mixing, I didn't give that batch, that half of the batch, a quick knead, and I think that is important to give it this texture. So accept that as a novice doing videos, that when you get it all mixed together in a bowl, just throw it out onto the counter and give it a quick knead. It's not like you're going to be making gluten and trying to bake a bread or make a pizza dough, but it's a whole different texture when you get it just kneaded for even just those, what was that, 15, 20 seconds, eh? And it's also coming out much rounder just with that little bit of work. So there you can learn from me as I learn from myself. And you know what? I'm realizing that right now. That was a huge error right now to be talking with you, because the last time I did these, this is the consistency I had, and it is so perfect, and it's just crazy. It's just those couple of seconds of just giving it a quick knead on the counter with the warmth of your hands. So here we go. We'll see what we get out of this one. I know you're excited. I would love to hear from you people if you actually Googled and arrived at this because you have family from the Orkneys or from Shetland, from I have a second cousin living near Inverness, near in the northern part of the mainland Scotland. Do you even know how do you say mainland when it's the island of Great Britain? But so much stuff my mom shared with me growing up, and I can't say that I didn't appreciate it. I did, and I listened, but you can't process it and have the same detail in your head as, say, now at the age that I am. So here we go with more rounds. If you go on the internet, you can buy these. There are some incredible sellers from the Orkney Islands. Beautiful, beautiful products. I've tried them once. The only thing is, with a package of your own darn oats, why can't you make your own for no money? And also save that having them sent off to you from the Orkney Islands or somewhere on, near Glasgow or Edinburgh or wherever they're coming from, when you can have them coming from your own darn kitchen, eh? So, go into town with batch 2. Again, I say batch 2, but it's really the same batch, just divided out. And you will find so many versions of how to do these. And like I said, these come out spectacular. They're so easy. And there again, just easy, easy. There's what I'm left with after cutting, like making sugar cookies, and then just A little more flour onto the counter. Bam, roll them out again. And onto that baking tray. You might wonder, do I have to have parchment paper? I don't know. I've never done them without parchment paper, and they are so easy to pull straight off onto the cooling rack that I would never dream of doing them right on the baking tray. So actually this rollout is starting to look oddly a little bit like Scotland. There must be a reason. Mom? Maybe that is a moment. My hands are yucky, but I gotta do this. This is my mother with me. Obviously, it was not taken last week. My mother passed away December 13th and 15. Missed the hell out of her. She was such a spectacular lady. That was in her kitchen. And that's my interest. All the things about Shetland that I got to know from her. I traveled, I took her to meet relatives in 1999, and we were all over. We were in Paris, we were in London, we were in Lerwick and Skellowa, all over. And she was extremely appreciative and went one more time. My sister Nancy took her a year later and did also a lot of visits with the relatives, but in addition she added in Glasgow, which is a city I don't know, but I'll get there. Push, push, push. I think it needs a little kneading. It doesn't look as moist and yummy as the other one did. So, I'm glad I doubled it for doing this work and messing up your kitchen. We've got a whole bunch. And you might say, gosh, Dean. I'm Dean. What do you do with all those? There are going to be like 40 of these practically. But if you put them in a Ziploc bag or some kind of thing in your fridge, they're going to be fine for a good amount of time. And you can also layer them between some wax paper, aluminum foil in the fridge, in the freezer, and pull them out, let them thaw naturally, and use them a couple of months down the road. I think this one might give me 2 more, and then we gotta be done because there's no more baking tray. Let me check that oven time. Oh my, 20 minutes. I might have to say, hey, look at my YouTube page to see what they look like baked, because I think this one I'm not even gonna give. No, I'm gonna get 2 out of this. You watch. Maybe not. I might eat the dough raw. No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get 2 out of it. There, that one goes. And that little corner is going to be for 1 more. I'm going to do it, yes. Holy cow. All people who went through depressions would be so proud of me, as my mother did. And that's why I am, I think, the way I am. Yes, I reuse my tin foil. All kinds of stuff. I wash out my Ziploc bags. And now, I'm going to give this a try. Not so bad. I wouldn't have it for breakfast, but not so bad. There we are. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 21 plus 19. 21 and 9 is 30, another 10. 40. I think my organic rolled oats were probably $5.99, maybe $4.99. A little salt, a little flour, some water filtered out of my fridge, and I bought these in Manhattan. I live about 3.5 hours from New York City, and I once went to a British gourmet shop somewhere in the West Village, and I bought a pack of Nairns for $7.99. I got 40 of these, not 10, and they're probably $4 of ingredients. So, there we are. Another tray, 21 Oaties. And 1 minute, I'm going to look at the others. I put you at such a disadvantage. I can't bring you over. You know, America's Test Kitchen. Test Kitchen. They come in with a camera and they pull down the oven. Or they have a camera inside the oven looking at something sizzling. I'm sorry. I have a lamp from my piano room on top of an air fryer, giving me more light so you can see me, and a cell phone. It's a Google Pixel 6. It's just like sitting there on top and leaning against the air fryer. And that's my Hollywood filming, from my kitchen to yours. So, I can't possibly make you wait 17 minutes for the Oaties to come out of the oven. But the oat cakes, I sum it up for you to make a batch of 40. You know, don't double it if you know you're not gonna want that many. But for doubling it, you know, you've got plenty to throw in the freezer, and they're just like fresh when you pull them out of that freezer. 300 grams of the oatmeal, where I took normal, non-quick cook, just standard, gotta cook them, stir for 15 minutes, 20 minutes on the stovetop, on the hob. 300 grams of standard rolled oats, organic, that I put into the food processor and whirred around till they got into a coarse meal. 100 grams of whole wheat flour. Today I used einkorn. I noticed no difference than the other times when I used white flour or whole wheat flour. A teaspoon scant of salt, and 240 ml of water. I just used filtered out of my fridge, but it's a really good filter. And mix it up and give it that. Important point I didn't do on the first tray, and I'm gonna let you know in a comment or something if I notice a difference, is I didn't give it that quick knead, and boy did the texture change in the mass when I gave it that quick roll around the counter kneading. And then with a cutter, I cut them into circles with a biscuit cutter, put them on parchment paper on a tray. You can space them closely because they're not gonna puff up and grow like a chocolate chip cookie. And then I quickly, when they're baked 30 minutes and you will of course watch them to see what they're doing, that maybe they need 25, maybe they need 35. The last time I made them, I thought 30 was just about spot on. Quickly with a spatula get them off onto a rack, a wire rack to cool, and you're done. Let them cool and enjoy. And like I said, in my family, my mom always said, no, you can't go having grape jam or strawberry jam. It's got to be orange marmalade. But my mom made her own elderberry jam, and I think that's why that one was okay. We also had elderberry jam on them, maybe with a layer, scant amount of butter before you put the jam on. And you can also have clotted cream with a little jam. You can have, heck, why not cottage cheese and some chopped chives. You might even want to make it into a mini little lunch and have some nice, not deli meat. Please don't put deli meat on. But something like a nice Black Forest ham, schinken, or a nice Italian thin prosciutto on top of it. You know, go wild, be modern Scotland. So I hope you'll try these. It's super, super nostalgic for me. Thinking of my mom every time I make oat cakes. And I say thanks for watching in Cortland, New York. And I wish I could show you the final product, but I don't have a Hollywood film crew, so they have 13 more minutes to go. Maybe I'll post a pic on my page. Thank you.